Phil, good morning. How are you today?
I am fine, Craig. And yourself?
Excellent. Yes, not too bad. Thank you. And for everybody watching and listening, we've got Phil Brown on today from the Negotiation Club. Phil, just want to say a few words to our audience. Just introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, what your business does, and the type of audience your website attracts and targets.
Okay, so my name is Philip Brown, as Craig has already mentioned, and I started a company a couple of years ago called the Negotiation Club with a particular focus on engaging individuals and companies to practice their negotiation skills. And in that sense, I guess my target audience would be everything from students at universities who are studying their businesses all the way through to corporates who would have large sales teams, procurement teams, who would like to, in essence, improve on their negotiation skills so they can actually deliver much better sort of deals, I guess, and deliver them as well. So that in the crux is who I am. And I guess just for another bit of background, Craig and I met a few years ago when I was looking to launch this business. And actually, Craig and the Alt Agency are the ones who actually designed my website and helped me put my ideas into an online format. The idea of being able to put a club together online, get memberships and all the other elements that goes with it as well. So that's where I kind of was up until the beginning of the pandemic this year.
Okay. And Phil, so what percentage of your business and activities are online before all this happened? So, because obviously your negotiation clubs, you go to a Network Rail, for example, and you sit down with people in the room. So how much of it was online versus offline back then?
Well, I suppose the whole idea of negotiation as a skill set is often a face-to-face, it's a personal skill set. And really up until the pandemic actually hit, it was always very much a kind of a physicality type skill. I mean, we'd still negotiate through emails, you'd still negotiate through, telephony, and you might even do some on videos as well. Predominantly, most people expect to do their training and their practicing face-to-face. So up until the beginning of the pandemic, that's what we were focused on. It was very much being face-to-face. So we would go into, so we were doing a lot of work with universities, funny enough. So a lot of the students, some of them already had negotiation clubs, but they weren't very structured, and neither were they able to practice. So, there were literally tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of students out there. So we were starting to go out and actually do workshops with the students, introduce them how they could practice, and then take that up to the next level. That was all face-to-face. We also had, again, face-to-face negotiations. So we'd set one up in Birmingham. Again, we'd only really started in October, and at the beginning of this year, we thought, right, let's start one in Birmingham. We ran that at Network Rail, and again, lo and behold, we suddenly get lockdown and social distancing. And then on top of that, we were looking at having conversations with a number of corporate businesses as well. Like I said before, that's another sort of target audience where we would be going in and literally doing work with their graduate schemes. So before the lockdown, actually quite a bit of work, all being face-to-face. Post-lockdown, zilch. Pretty much that had to stop. So that's the situation we find ourselves in right now.
Okay. And so just jumping back to when the lockdown started, obviously you're running your business, it's gone fine offline. What was your initial thoughts when you heard Boris Johnson announce the lockdown? How did you think it was going to affect you? And how has that turned into a reality? Was it as you thought, or was it completely different to what you thought it would be?
I think the lockdown and the implications for businesses impact people in many, many different ways. You have everybody from those who are entirely reliant upon a business as an employee, who will have a completely different set of challenges to those who are business owners and those who are business parts of business, big corporates. I think it's hit a lot of entrepreneurs and small businesses, such as ourselves, in ways that we never even thought. And I guess it's do or die, basically. You either do something about it or you just roll over and just let it happen. And I guess some people may be taking it as a bit of a kind of a holiday. I think that a pandemic and the implications of this is that it's not going to be something that's over in a few weeks, as we've already noticed, and it is not going to be over this year. It's going to have implications that go on for at least the next couple of years. Personally, I don't think they're going to come up with an antiviral medication for quite a while. And therefore, there's going to be lots of things happening, which means that we have to change our business processes and the way that we expect to do business. So when it happened, kind of a shock. I read the news a lot, so I kind of did not expect it.
So when did you first hear about coronavirus? When did it first come onto your radar?
I think when it started getting in the news over in China with...
So it was about New Year, was it that? End of 2019?
Yeah. You're looking at January time and then February time. And when you consider that something like the Chinese lock down a city, then there is something up. There is something big time up, okay? And yet, we think of the world as a big global place, so it's a long way away. It's not going to affect us. I mean, what I didn't realize was that that is a city of millions of people, So the ability of a government to shut it down means there's problems. And then once you start hearing that, flights are getting shut down, lots of people can criticize the government at the end of the day. But the reality is that, we haven't had anything like this in our lifetimes as such. Not on our side. There was a SARS, obviously, over in Asia.
Yeah.
But this is something that really started to draw our attention in February time for me. And interestingly enough, I think... I excuse the French here, but I took the piss out of my parents, who I think the first indicators of there being the coronavirus here in the UK was in York. I think there was a couple of students that were in York. My parents were in York.
It's about February, March time, I think it was, wasn't it? Beginning of March.
And my parents decided that they're in their 70s, decided they would go on a lockdown, and they went out and they started buying masks and disinfecting. So I was thinking, that's a bit more than I thought you'd really need to do. But they went out and did it. And they were actually, in a way, ahead of the curve in that sense. They were already preparing for it. And I was doing some work with a very large business. And before the lockdown happened as well, we all basically started working from home, probably about a week to 2 weeks. We started from home. We started using Teams as well. So the Microsoft version with Teams. And obviously, everybody working at home, that had a lot of differences to the way that people were, again, managing themselves. So coming back to, I guess, your question at the beginning is that, before the lockdown, everything was hands-on, face-to-face. As the lockdown started to happen and started to become more of a kind of a newsworthy item in a sense, it was like, okay, this could have an impact on us. And then as soon as the lockdown actually happened and Boris Johnson put it in there, students, universities sort of shut down. So that was a big chunk of our market. It was like, oh, what's going to happen here? And obviously same with the corporate. Suddenly everybody's working from home. So it was a case of do or die. And I think in our case, it was, all right, let's see if we can actually move into something that we hadn't done before, which is the online presence. And let's see if we can do something which is different to everybody else.
Okay. How long did it take you to come to that decision? I mean, were you planning in February when you heard about it? Was it something you were actually planning for this to happen? Or were you just keep...
No, we didn't have any plans for this at all. In essence, I think it was like a lot of people, I'd be wrong to say that we were planned for it. We weren't planned for this at all. It happened. Okay. And then I think the reality is what do you do with it? I'm with a number of networking groups, and there's a number of entrepreneurs on there, and, their business basically stopped dead.
Yeah.
There is literally nothing they could do. All right. So, beauticians, you can't do that necessarily over online unless you start get creative and start sort of teaching people, I guess. But you're not going to do that. I mean, certainly my wife is a bit upset about the number of roots she's got coming through and the fact that hair is wrong. I take the approach to just shave it all off. I don't have that problem. But as far as my business was concerned and what I needed to do, it was a case of, all right, we can't plan for it. We didn't plan for it. It happened. What do we need to do about it? Right, we need to go online. We need to do something where we can still have that face-to-face engagement. I am still 110% committed to the format that we do. And in fact, I created a physical resource to help people negotiate in the negotiation card.
Yeah.
And how do I get that physical resource working online? And I think that's a bit that actually has been fun. It's actually been fun doing it. And you know what? I think it's actually opened up a market that I would not have focused my attention on before.
Okay. So obviously, the reason for these this call, doing these interviews, is to just understand the marketing activities different businesses have done. So it's Tuesday, 24th of March. So what have you done since then to really change the business? What activities have you done, and what kind of results have they had on the bottom line, for example?
I think on the bottom line, that's still to be seen in many ways. I think so. Maybe just going a bit beforehand, what kind of has changed? I guess the marketing side of things. We were doing a lot of marketing, for example, on Instagram. Instagram is pretty much the go-to for students. So that's where students go to. So I've got somebody who works for me who manages that social media aspect of as well. The other aspect of it, the professional sort of channel to market for me, is also then LinkedIn. So I do a lot on LinkedIn. And I guess on LinkedIn, I mean, just for most people's expectations on LinkedIn, there are effectively two audiences. You have the audience, which is your personal profile audience, and then you have an audience which is around your business as well. So you can have followers for your business, and you can have followers for you. Now, I actually took a decision probably a good year ago to try and focus more people's attention on following the business. And there's a really good reason for doing that, in the sense that the business side can have multiple people who can feed onto that. So it doesn't have to be just me. So I can have people who can actually do that for me. And also, when people are looking at your business, they can go into the post and they can find everything there. When you're doing it as an individual with your individual profile, there are many people who have very strong profiles. They do a lot of marketing through there, but it's all under their name, so to speak. And I want the negotiation club to stand on its own. So that's why I focus the LinkedIn activities. How has it changed over the last month or two? Obviously, a lot of the posts that we put up there was around the benefits that our workshops were giving to individuals in a face-to-face manner. And since then, what we've started to do is develop our own online presence and our online services as well. And again, coming back to the cards are great, but they actually have a progress. I'll take it. I'm going to go all over the place here, but
sure.
What I don't do is I don't do webinars. Now, the challenge I think with webinars is that they are pretty much 95% all one-way information. It's PowerPoint, it's talking through things. You might get a couple of questions coming through, but it's basically just sat there doing this one way, all the way. And that's like just doing the training that I used to go and have to suffer and sit down and basically have somebody stood up, for 2 days telling me what I should be doing, giving me great examples of what they've done or great example of what's out in the business. And maybe on occasion have a go at practicing it. And I think webinars, and people have done their training, they've done the same. It's just regurgitating their information. What I've done and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to flip it the other way around. So instead of 95% of being me talking, it's actually 95% of people doing. And when 95% of people doing, that's when they learn. And what I found is actually online, this is actually more effective, I think, potentially, more effective than when we're doing it face to face. And I'll explain that a little bit as well, is that there are two aspects to the negotiation club and how people do training, okay? The one is the doing, and the two is the observing. Now, on the doing bit, I would get people in a workshop face-to-face, and they would do it one-on-one, okay? And, there's no doubt that's obviously a skill set. There's a lot of body language stuff in there as well. But then the second bit, which is the observing bit, you'd have two negotiators or people negotiating and have everybody watching then. What I've actually found with going online, and particularly with using Zoom, is that you can have two negotiators and everybody is then watching them, but they're watching them very, very closely. We're on screen now, so I can see your reactions, you can see my reactions. And actually, in a workshop, online workshop, that is colossal. It's more than I ever thought, the value of that. So when we practice deliberate tactics, we can look out for exactly how it's been delivered, for example, by me, and how it's been received by you. So the move onto online has actually it's done two things. First of all, I actually think it's improved potentially engagements of this training format, this deliberate practice format. And like I said, it's not a webinar. It's actually 95% the other way. And the second thing is that I've always been an advocate to say, look, why don't we try to practice our negotiations with different cultures, with different languages, all the barriers that come with that. I was doing a session last week. I had somebody from Singapore, Florida, Texas, Spain, Italy. I've got a lady that was calling in from New Zealand. One's at 11 o'clock in the evening, one at 11 o'clock in the morning, one at 6 o'clock in the morning, But, the opportunity to practice with those type of audience, it's just not there. And we've created it now.
Yeah. So, do you think this could be a fundamental shift in your business model? Do you think now you'll be more predominantly online compared to offline before?
I think there is a whole new niche of a market that I can now focus on. But it's like anything. There's two things. First of all, the negotiation club and what it does is different to what training does per se. The focus is mostly on people doing, not being told. Sure. So I was having to build up a kind of a following and a marketing strategy to try to get people to understand that. Now we're doing it online. I've got to start from scratch again and get people to appreciate that. So one of the things I have to do is just try this out. And we've been trying it out. It's been working very well.
Okay, that kind of leads on to my next question, which you've part already covered. So now you've used LinkedIn, you've moved from offline to online. What kind of growth in hard numbers and figures have you seen, and why do you think that is? Just to be specific, You know
what? I can't give you hard numbers. I probably wouldn't give you hard numbers anyway. But we've seen a continued following of people. We're seeing a lot more engagement with people actually expressing the value that they've had from being associated with going online and doing some of these workshops as well. So, we have literally gone from zero. We've gone from nothing, all right, to now running. I've been running 4 weekly sessions so far. So I have one on a Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon, one on a Thursday afternoon. I've done a university course. I supported a university course last Friday, and the Thursday morning before that, I was doing another one with some students again. So it's not all students, but some of the students are obviously still keen to learn. So what it does is it allows me to probably get to a larger audience because I don't have to necessarily travel for a full day just to go to one workshop. I can do 2 of these and still have conversations and still do some coaching as well. So I think the reality is that this has changed my business model, and I expect it to now become much more of a prevalence and a relevance going forward as well. Okay.
So you mentioned Instagram and LinkedIn. Are they still the 2 main ways you're generating interest in your platform, or is there anything new that you've tried besides moving online? Is there any other platforms you've tried that do growth?
So we have our Google page as well, our Google business site as well. I guess one of the challenges, particularly for small businesses like us, is where do you focus your attention? Yeah, it is a genuine issue, and we do have a Facebook page, and we do try with Facebook as well, but they are different audiences. And in order to be able to appreciate and understand those audiences, I think you've kind of almost got to focus on some of them to get to know the audience. I had thought that Facebook was where the students reside, right? It isn't. You ask most students now, and it's all Instagram stuff, and Instagram is a different means and a different platform to Facebook.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes less is more. So, I focus on the LinkedIn side of things. I have somebody who focuses on the Instagram, and we put a few Twitters up there as well. But quite frankly, Twitter, it hasn't really done anything for me as far as I can see. And then Facebook, Yeah, it's been interesting. But again, we haven't really driven anything out of there, but neither have we put a huge amount of effort into that one again. And then we have the website. And I think the website for me has been hugely beneficial in getting people there. But it's actually a platform for running the clubs as opposed to kind of necessarily for me at the moment, like a business platform marketing off it. I probably need to change that a little bit. I mean, certainly what we're going to be doing a lot more of now is putting events on there. And within the platform, which, the Alt Agency they put on the ability to be able to go in. I can create events and I can, people can book events, they can be paid and they can be free. So those are my channels at the moment.
Okay, and are you still using them exactly the same as you were before, or is the way you were using them changed at all?
I'm not entirely sure they've changed too much. I mean, I think partly it's about sort of providing information, updates. It's giving snippets of useful sort of activities that people can actually do. It's really just about being informative. It's a lead generator. So, for example, people will show their interest, and then you can follow up on that. So I've also we've invested in a CRM system, Daylight.
Okay.
And that's, in a way, that's yet another system that we've got to start getting our heads around. Okay, so it's all happening at the moment. So there's Zoom, which is my go-to at the moment for running the event. And actually, from a perspective of that, I've learned an awful lot. So we use breakout rooms, Zoom, and we use the ability then to do polls on Zoom as well. But I've got the CRM system. I've now got MailChimp, and it's got to be a lot more now of being sort of getting out there and using these formats.
Okay, and LinkedIn, obviously, been doing these interviews. We haven't really had many people say they use LinkedIn. Instagram's come up quite a few times. SEO's come up a lot. Pay-per-click every now and then. So for LinkedIn, just to give our audience some context, what kind of things are you doing on LinkedIn to generate the traction? Almost like in a step-by-step guide.
Okay, so there's a couple of things we do. Is that we generally we'll put a couple of posts on per week. We'll advertise the events that we're doing. I mean, LinkedIn does have this event advertising piece on there as well, but we just tried it last week, funny enough. We just put something on there to see if we can generate traffic coming through, but it gets a bit confusing because you've got the LinkedIn events, and that takes you through to our webpage, but obviously it's a paid event. So I'm just wondering whether the events on LinkedIn is the type that we want to be using going further forward. But you've got to start somewhere. I would rather try and fail than not have tried at all. So we're trying all these types of things.
Sure.
I've been looking at kind of some of the things that have done really well from regards to a post. So I kind of measure sort of the interactions that I have with posts, and you can see it from, the likes, the shares, and the comments. And sort of the interaction side of things. So just for people to be aware of, I do the paid version. That gives you more visibility of what's going on. I did do Sales Manager for about 12 months, but I actually found that it wasn't something that was really beneficial for me. It just ended up being a lot more money. And you can get creative with the paid LinkedIn version anyway. So what I do is, we put posts on there. We try to do some video content. We do a lot of engagement in what's actually happening. And I think the important thing with LinkedIn is when you do put a post up there is to make sure that you're responding. There's a lot of algorithms that actually help.
Okay.
I was actually hit the other day. I just put a post in there. I put a post about having a comment on this on my personal profile. So I haven't really been doing much on my personal profile at all. And I just put something on there about having a conversation with an insurance broker. I had to ring them up the other week, and that went through the roof. And I couldn't work it out. There was no pictures, there was no video. It was a case of I just sorted out my insurance, and I happened to ask the lady how she was getting on in this lockdown, and then I put a little bit of a brief about how she'd actually been getting on and how we changed our, to the new norm. And I got a huge amount of interaction on that. And it was like, well, what's going on? Because every time I do a video and I do loads of these other things, I get so much. But that just went through the roof. So sometimes it's a bit odd to know what is the most impactful. I think when it comes to using LinkedIn, though, a couple of pieces of advice I'd always do is, don't make it all about just being one way. Okay, do get on, use a messaging system. And make it useful, make it informative, and mix it up every so often as well.
Okay. You've already part answered my next question. I was going to ask you what type of content you find working well, because obviously you've been doing text content, video content, and then you've just said you just put almost like a general piece on there that's done better. Seems to have done better than both.
The one thing I don't think works particularly well is when you reshare somebody else's stuff. That never seems to get any traction from me. So even if I've read something, or one of my connections has put something on, and I think this is really good, somebody really should, this should be useful for my audience. I'll share that, and I'll share it both on my LinkedIn page, because you can do that, profile, but you can also share it on your LinkedIn company page, and I'll do that as well. Never really seems to get the traction I always think it deserves, but I guess the focus that LinkedIn has is on the original content. So they do focus on original content. And then for me, when I do a post, I always try to ensure the first line or so. You always see that, and then you have to click to see more. So try and put something in there which is going to, it's intriguing.
What's your typical length of a post? Is it a couple of words and then a link?
I would generally try to fill up. There's about 12,000 characters you can put into a post, and I would generally try to get the 12,000. But even a short post can be quite useful. I'm not quite sure again whether links in the posts actually boost it up either. I think again, if I see the stuff that has done well, it tends to be stuff that LinkedIn sees as original content, and therefore just, is absolutely fine.
Okay.
It's kind of distracted away from other things. So again, on my personal profile, I don't really get a great deal of sort of recommendations. I know other side of things. And again, it's probably because I focus on the company page. But I do think the company page has a lot of value. Once you start getting the followers on it, then it becomes valuable. But it's not so easy to get the followers on the company pages. Okay.
And moving forward, so now online platform, online, not webinars, just online coaching. How do you see the next 3 to 6 months going for you? Are you going to be trying anything new? Are you going to be sticking with LinkedIn and Instagram? What's on the horizon for you and the negotiation club?
I'm going to behave like the coronavirus and just have world domination.
It won't be bad.
I think the focus for me will still maintain the same kind of marketing channels we've got at the moment, Instagram and LinkedIn being the predominant ones. I think we will start to build up the web page, in all honesty, because I think that it's a bit of an odd one. I mean, I don't know a great deal about the web, and I know obviously this is your speciality as such.
Apparently,
I'd like to think. But it's one of those things. I think if you have a kind of a real in-depth interest in the mechanisms for something and the building up of something, then you can do that. Me personally, I really enjoyed the LinkedIn format for doing it, but I also know that you shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. So, like I said, I've got somebody who's doing the Instagram, and we do a little bit of Twitter, we do a little bit of Facebook. And the part of the web page is about building up a community on there. All right. So the whole point of effectively the negotiationclubs.com, the whole point of that is to get people to come together on that platform. Now, I don't expect it to be another LinkedIn, but what I would like to see happening over the next 6 to 12 months is there being more clubs being created, and then people starting to have effectively online meetings. There's no reasons why people cannot do that. I mean, I have shifted the Birmingham Negotiation Club is now more, well, it is online. So we run a Zoom. We use the breakout rooms for preparation. We run the gallery views so that everybody switches off their mic and they switch off their video, and then they can just watch 2 individuals or 4 individuals negotiating. And then we break it down. We review what's going on. We talk about how things can be differently. And guess what? The next group go up and do the same thing. So the Zoom aspect of it has worked quite well. So I think at the moment the focus is maintaining it on LinkedIn, Instagram, some more on the web page, and we're investing in the web page in order to integrate Zoom into the web page. And that's going to make a huge difference potentially for us as well. So when we do paid events, instead of somebody having to go to our website, pay for an event, and then I have to then follow up and send them more details for them then to do this and everything else, it's all done through one.
Yeah, one stop.
Yeah. And I think that's the other major learning that you need to try and incorporate into anything you do online, which is reduce the number of click-throughs, reduce the number of activities that need to be done. Like you said, the LinkedIn have their own events, but actually that just ends up being another click-through. So I'm still trying to work out how best to actually pitch that one, I think.
Okay. It'd be good to just do a follow-up in another couple of months, just see how that's how you figure that out. See if LinkedIn's still your number one channel. Is there anything else I should have asked or I haven't asked that you think would be of value to our audience to keep growing through this time?
I don't know. I think it's useful just to have these dialogues every so often. One of the things that I have noticed, particularly on LinkedIn and others, is a lot of free stuff. Okay. It reminds me of a story I'm not going to tell you about a couple of years back, but I think there's a lot of people panicking out there. And in many ways, rightly, it's not an easy situation. Whatever people think, we do have to respect social distancing. For many businesses now, you have to really incorporate that and think how you're going to do it. My only concern is that actually I think people think that throwing free stuff out there and doing lots and lots of free stuff is going to generate the type of traffic that is going to help them. And I think that might be a bit of a mistake in the long term. Like I said, I've been building up the followings on the LinkedIn company page because to me, if somebody's following the Negotiation Club's company page, it's because they want to follow the Negotiation company page, right? Because I can't force them to do that. They have to do that. Yeah. So then you have an audience who are interested in it, and that's great. So then you need to capitalize on that. But the free webinars and everything else, I think it starts to undervalue everything. And the other thing is that people start to wonder, well, do I need to do another one of these? What am I getting out of it? One of the things that has been quite successful is that I've been supporting another group of trainers, negotiation trainers. And I think that's the thing that the pandemic has done. It has actually brought out some links and connections which, can work really well together. So I'm actually working with, I wouldn't say they're necessarily competitors, but I would say that actually between us, we have a larger value proposition. So negotiations is, you can talk about negotiation value as being just one pie, and when you're negotiating, you're trying to get the most value from that pie. The second option is to grow the pie. So everybody gets better. Everybody gets more. And I think that's what I've been doing as well with a couple of my, again, potential competitors is actually instead of saying, well, okay, how do I get more of the pie that's there? It's actually saying, well, actually, how can we grow that? How can we get more audience? How more people interested in this? So actually the collaboration aspects have actually been quite interesting. So we're collaborating more. And the idea is that the more that we collaborate, the more people will become aware that they can train in a different format. People are sat at home at the moment. Okay, they can choose to work between 9 and 5. Some people work nice and early in the mornings. They take a break during the day. They might work late at night. Okay, there's no new norm to the working hours now. So why should there be any new norm to to training and practicing?
Sure.
Like I said, Singapore, 11 o'clock in the evening. Auckland, 3 o'clock in the morning. We get people all times of the day now actually practicing their negotiation skills. And I think that's not something that I had originally expected quite as much of. So my advice is, look, it is an element of do or die. And don't do the latter, okay? Try and do the former. And you know what? We will fail in some things. We are bound to fail in some things. But every time you fail in something, you'll learn something from it.
Yeah, but that's just marketing, isn't it? Just testing, message out, test, results, tweak. over and
It's
over.
marketing. I mean, I guess the thing is not to overly panic and try and do too many different types of marketing. Suddenly change everything, because at the end of the day, you don't know what works. So tweak what you have. I've had to completely rejig the format, but I'm still using stuff that I was doing in the physical
channels. Yeah.
I mean, with the cards, I literally I'll have people sat, so I'll be saying, Craig, right, you turn away and I'll show the card to somebody, all right? And then the whole group gets to see it. And actually that works so well, all right? And then you'll face it, I'll say to right, John, right, you turn away now. And you get to see your card. And everybody's watching you negotiate. So I'm using something physical, even though it's online. And I've been really well impressed with how that has worked, So, yeah. So, yeah, keep at it.
Perfect. And if anybody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best ways for people to get in touch with you? Obviously, we've got the negotiationclub.com. We'll drop a link down below this video. How else could people get in touch with you? Negotiationclubs.com.
Yeah. So, go on that. LinkedIn. So, Philip Brown. And you'll see me as a negotiator. You'll see the face to start with. I don't use a younger version of my profile picture, so I don't have hair. LinkedIn, go there. And like I said, generally, by all means, send a link in to me and just say, look, Phil, saw you on the note with Craig and that. Connect up, fine. But I'd also say you can follow my LinkedIn company page, which is a negotiation club, the TNC. You don't have to be a friend with me to be able to do that. So you can do that anyway. So check that out as well. I
will drop all the links to those three URLs beneath this video. But Phil, thanks very much for your time. Appreciate it. And we'll catch up soon and see how the next 3 to 6 months have been for you. Yeah, thank you very much, Craig. And stay safe. And everybody else out there, keep well. Thanks, Phil. Really appreciate it. Thank you.